All right, so my name is Lela. I'm a recruiter at North Island College. I work at mostly the Campbell River campus. I also sometimes work at our other campuses, Comox Valley, Port Alberni, and Port Hardy. And so I'm here to talk about one of our programs, which is called Instrumentation and Electrical Automation. And joining me this evening is also our head instructor, Cory. And thank you for being here, and we'll get started. So here's a little overview of what we'll cover today. So we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a North Island College student and that experience. We're going to talk about the details of the program and some possible next steps for you as well, and then questions and answers. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we are on the traditional and unceded territories of 35 First Nations. That's how many different areas our college campuses and our surrounding area cover, so a large geographical area. And currently I'm on the traditional unceded territories of the Nuu-chah-nulth, Kwakwaka'wakw, Liquiduck, and Coast Salish people. So this is me. My name is Lela. I'm a recruiter. And I would also like to introduce to you my coworker and head instructor, Cory. If you want to say hello.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the info session.
Great, thank you. So this is where our campuses are located. So we're located on Vancouver Island. Just for reference, if you were to look at the very bottom right-hand side of your screen, you'll see Victoria is at one end of the island. And a little ways up, as you head towards Tofino and Ucluelet, you'll see our Port Alberni campus, located in Port Alberni. And about almost midway is the Comox Valley campus. And then just a little past halfway is where we are located, and this program takes place at our Campbell River campus. And at the very top is Port Hardy and the campus we call Mihalaquila. And our area includes lots of different adventures and different types of activities that you can enjoy. We like to say that the outdoors is one of our main selling features. If anyone isn't familiar, the bottom right-hand picture, that's actually located by Sprout Lake, which is close to just outside of Port Alberni. And it's a ancient, fairly ancient carving, and it's something interesting that you might see in these areas. So the things that you could enjoy are like seafood festivals, the outdoors, mountain biking, surfing, skiing, hiking, and festivals. Why would you choose to attend North Island College? So we like to say that we have 4 locations surrounded by nature. We have lots of flexibility in our program pathways. So if you're not sure if you meet the admission requirements and you need to do some upgrading, we can assist you with upgrading your math or English high school level courses in order to meet the requirements to take a program. We also try to keep your tuition affordable and our admissions possible for you to meet those admission requirements. And we like to connect with our community and collaborate and keep our class sizes small so that you have lots of access to support services and your instructor. Here's a little bit about North Island College. We have over 75,000 alumni, so those are people that used to attend North Island College, and that number is growing. We every year give out about $750,000 in free money in the form of scholarships and bursaries to students to help them pay for their education. And our nice small class sizes means that for every student, there will be approximately 18 students to one instructor. So that's really they mostly will get to know your name and you'll get to know your classmates.
Maybe I could interject there that
yeah, please.
My class is a maximum of 16 students. So
there we go. So quite a small class
16
size.
to 1.
Yeah. I don't like to promise that you're going to memorize everyone's name, but I'd say you will. Yeah. And we do have programs in a lot of different areas. Those are just a list of some of them. It's not an exhaustive list. We also have lots of Indigenous student supports. This is a photograph of the outside of our gathering place at our Campbell River campus, the newest building at that campus. And that art is painted by a local Indigenous artist. We also have Indigenous navigators, elders in residence, Indigenous counselors, Indigenous student lounges, and gathering spaces. And there's a brand new one that I'll get into a little bit later at our Comox Valley campus in our new student housing complex. We have lots of services to offer you once you become a student. Department of Accessible Learning Services, if you're a student who needs accommodations, that's the department that you would talk to about that. There's a cafeteria at each campus, any of our main campuses, bookstores where you can buy your supplies and books, and an online store that's quite extensive now. The North Island Student Union is independent and they support students and advocate for them and have extended health and dental available for each student, as long as you're enrolled in 2 or more courses. Our library and learning commons have free services for students that definitely would come in handy for students in this program. Free math support. So not everyone is a math whiz or hasn't, maybe you haven't studied for a few years. It's been a while since you were in high school and that can really come in handy. Writing support, research support, and student technical services. Our registration department, you can drop by and make appointments with advisors, counselors, navigators. You can make payments on your account, ask questions, and find out maybe where your room number is if you have questions. Our student life department handles orientation, which helps students settle on the first day of class or before the first day of class so they know where they're going, where things are, and maybe talk to their instructor before classes start. And also the Early Assist program, which helps students who might have gotten into a bit of a pickle and need some support services to help them along and be successful in their studies. We also offer free counseling, educational advising, financial aid, and access navigators, all through our Student Services Department. These are some of our funding support services that we offer. So just to keep in mind that loans and grants are government student aid. That is all through Student Aid BC, which is the government organization or the branch of them that gives out loans and grants to students. So the difference between those are if you're taking out a loan, you are expected to pay it back. A grant is actually free money. So often the grants are smaller, but sometimes you can obtain that money to put towards your tuition and not have to pay it back, which is great. And North Island College has its own branch that collects and distributes money to students, and that's called the Foundation. And they have scholarships and bursaries, and it's just one application that you fill out each year to make yourself eligible for the loans and grants that are available through the NIC Foundation. Also, another government source of funding is for former youth in care, and they have actually made that program easily accessible to those who qualify. It used to have more stipulations, and it's gotten better. Here's some small photos of our brand new student housing complex at our Comox Valley campus. And maybe it seems strange to talk about Comox Valley campus housing, but students do take up residence there and then commute to our Campbell River campus. It's about a 40-minute drive, and we've got trade students currently who are living there and commuting to our Campbell River campus. It's not that far, and it's brand new, beautiful, really amazing accommodation. So if you're interested in that, here's the website. And please do reach out. So the steps that you would take is to apply to your program first and then apply for student housing. So this is the first time in the history of North Island College that we've ever had student housing, so we're pretty excited about it. And there's various sizes of the rooms. There's the nano suite, which is quite small. Your bed would fold down when you're sleeping on it, and then it would fold back up and there's be a desk area in that spot. And that bed is actually bigger than the next size up suite. And that is a larger physical area for your suite, but the bed is smaller. And then there's the quad, which is for 4 people to share. It has 2 bathrooms, a larger kitchen area for preparing food and eating together, a seating area, and then a whole separate building that's dedicated to family housing. So please let us know if you have extra questions about that at the end. These are some of the options that students at the college have available to them. Not every program offers every one of these options, but I'd just like to mention that these are possibilities: co-op terms, which are paid work terms; internships, which are more flexible, often shorter in length, and they could be paid or unpaid. There are also opportunities to work as an employee of the college through our CARTI department. And there's apprenticeship. So we'll get into some different program pathways, and one of those could be an electrical apprenticeship if you're interested in that. It does tie into this program. There's also study abroad opportunities where you can go to a field school, which is a short-term opportunity in another country. And there's different scholarships available for that. And sometimes we have agreements with other institutions in other countries where you can go and have an experience while progressing your education at NIC. So here's where I'm going to pass it over to Cory to talk a bit more about the program and why you might want to choose to study at North Island College.
The program's 2-year full-time. We offer a 4-day scholastic work week. So it's Monday to Thursday. And we've extended the hours a little bit because we get a lot of students commuting from Comox and other regions. So I've chosen to move to a 4-day work week. I've done that for about the last 10 years, and the students enjoy it. And you get a 3-day weekend. So you can, if you have to work a day or two, then you can certainly use that extra day, particularly the Friday, to, if you have to work, keep your funds up to attend the program. Anyway, so what do we do in this program? First year is your foundation. So not a lot of job ready skills in the first year. It is all about setting the groundwork for the job ready skills that you learn in the second year. So we cover DC theory, AC theory, semiconductors, digital microprocessors, and this year I introduced AutoCAD and 3D printing in there because that's a skill that a lot of employers want. When I made the changes to the program, what I basically did was I scoured the internet over and looking at various job postings, and I took the commonalities from that and I introduced them to the program. So what do we cover? Like I said, in the first year, we cover the foundation, but in the second year, we definitely target industry. So pulp and paper, which is still around, but kind of a dying industry. So we talk a bit about that, and oil and gas, food and beverage, water treatment, soft and hardwood lumber mills, pharmaceuticals, mining, manufacturing. There's a whole bunch of industries which we target with our program. So what do we cover in the second year, which gets you ready for the workplace? We cover extensive electrical theory. That's motor control, motors, because in any sort of plant, you're going to have electric motors that drive the various conveyors and ball mills and whatever you have. Depends on whichever plant you're working at. We cover instrumentation. We've got a 2-month program on that. It covers basically all of level 1, level 2, parts of level 3, and parts of level 4 of the apprenticeship. As I mentioned, we cover a lot of motors and motor control because that's paramount in the industry. Hydraulics, pneumatics. We spent a lot of time on programmable logic controllers. So those are the brains behind the automated processes. I actually have a level 1 and a level 2 PLC program. And then when we get into the human machine interface section, you will be exposed to a third platform, a Horner platform of PLCs. And as mentioned, we get into AutoCAD and 3D modeling. A lot of places you work for, you may be designing parts and designing processes, so that goes hand in hand. And so anyway, the program's always been a 2 years full time. In the past, we've ran it concurrent, where first year and second year run together at the same time. There's a class of first year and a class of second year. The last 4 or 5 years, we've ran it as sequential. So we do level one and then we do level two, and I am your instructor for both of those programs. It's still like I said, a 2 year diploma program. Um, and we made the changes because we had a first year core certificate and you got your diploma at the end of the second year, and a lot of industries viewed that as a 1 year diploma program, and it didn't qualify for a number of jobs. So we've moved it to a 2 year full-time 2 year diploma program, so you get a single diploma at the end. And there's talk of bringing the certificate back at the end of first year. um, in the past, we used to
Let's not change the program again.
no, we're not changing the program again. No, but we're thinking about bringing back the course certificate that allows
Okay.
people that have prior learning assessments that have worked in a similar field. Maybe we can look at you to enter straight into the second year versus taking the first year. Every year, I get a engineer that wants to come back and take the practical, so it doesn't make sense for them to take the first year.
Hmm.
So it's just
And just for folks that don't know, a certificate is normally the 1 year program, and the next year is the second year, which is the diploma. So 1 year program, certificate, 2 year program, diploma. That's normally how it goes.
yeah. Sorry, my phone was ringing here.
That's all right.
Just
So I
looking at it.
think we've covered most of this, and now I've got a slide that's about career pathways. Um, So this is some of the areas that you mentioned that students who take this program could possibly get employed in.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add to this? You talked about renewable energy, oil and gas
Yes.
manufacturing.
Those are the primary industries. Obviously, it's a moving metric. So
It's always
as
changing.
as AI hits the field, and um, you know, different employers looking for different opportunities. There's carbon capture, stuff like that. They're not typical industries, but they're also going very mainstream in a hurry. We have a number of my past students that are employed in that field right now. It says down there your estimated income for a industrial instrument technician is around 100,000. That's a little low.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, well that's good to know.
if you're in the oil and gas field, your base wage is 160,000.
Wow.
I just had a fellow from Fortis, BC, reach out to me today for a potential student. They're starting at $53 an hour. Um, so it's a good starting point. But some industries pay quite a bit more, double that, and but pretty good estimate for a starting point, especially on the island. If you want to stay on the island, then obviously um, we're not big industry here. We do have a lot of industries here. You got to poke around and look for where they are. But they would be starting around the 100,000 a year mark for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. Here's I just like to share some, experience from previous students. So this was a student that took the program. I think Cory would recognize them probably.
Yes.
And just a little um, quote from what their experience in the program was like.
Yes, Eric.
And then,
That was not a picture of Eric, but
oh, okay. Two Erics. And here are some options. So I just like to put this up here just for different career or education options. The program that we're talking about here this evening is Instrumentation and Electrical Automation Technician Diploma. But if you could talk a little bit about how you could maybe ladder this into an apprenticeship in electrical or to go into engineering.
yes.
Great.
So right now, as it stands, we if you graduate with our diploma, you are automatically stamped with your level one electrical. I cover that in first year.
Now,
It
level
is
one, just for folks who don't know, is the first, like the level one apprenticeship, the the part of the program that covers the first level of electrical apprenticeship. I don't know if there's a better way to say that. Some people don't know the
well,
difference between
yeah,
foundation or apprenticeship, or yeah.
yeah. Well, apprenticeship is typically a 4 year endeavor, and electrical is definitely 4 years. Level one, level two, level three, level four. Because of the electrical that I have in my program, they will grant you automatically your level one electrical apprenticeship. Scholastic achievement, you still have to
Hmm.
make up the hours. And not on that slide is the instrumentation trade, industrial instrument mechanic. That is another apprenticeship, and it is a 4 year program. And you, as a graduate of the program, you automatically get level one and level two of that, and you
Mm,
get 425 hours towards your apprenticeship.
okay.
And the other quote there about engineering, yes, the that is the prior learning. If you want to bridge into engineering, you'll have to take a couple upgrade courses because we don't have stats and a couple of other programs or the high level English that they're looking for. But it's a simple bridge, and they'll give you a number of credits towards your engineering degree, but upon completion of my program.
Great. Thank you. And just a note about apprenticeships for those that don't know, at least in Canada, a foundation program covers usually the level one of an apprenticeship in schooling content. But if you want to become an apprentice, you need to register with Skilled Trades BC once you have an employer who's willing to sponsor you as an apprentice. So that employer says, yes, I'm willing to take you on as an apprentice. Go register with Skilled Trades BC. The hours that you work for that employer will count towards your apprenticeship. And now that schooling also will count towards your apprenticeship. So you work for a little while, complete your required number of hours, and then you come back and do the next level of your schooling.
I
So,
got to interject here too.
yeah,
In my level one, I bring Skilled Trades BC, and you get a trade work identification number instantly.
great. So this is just a little bit about the Engineering Foundation Certificate, just for folks that are interested in that aspect, because this program also does cover some engineering, and that we have a certificate program that can transfer, and also this 2 year program. And I just like to point out that if you're thinking, oh, I don't think schooling is for me, post-secondary, I don't need it, I can just get a job right out of high school, 77% of all future job openings will require some form of post-secondary education. So I think it's a good idea. So we'll talk about some next steps. There are dual credit opportunities. So Cory, how many would you say, like approximately, how many dual credit students do you have? Like a couple, maybe one or two in your program?
Well, when we ran concurrently, I used to have at least one or two per year. Now
Okay.
that we've gone sequentially, that number's dropped right off. So
Okay.
it's always been available, and it's
Okay.
highly recommended. But you have to have all your birds in a line. You have to start talking to your counselor basically in grade 10 if you
Yeah,
want to. If you
it
want to
does say
attend.
grade 11, but I think because you do need to have the admission requirements completed before you take a dual credit program, sometimes people don't have that all lined up and they're not able to start something like this in grade 12. But basically, dual credit is when you're taking college level courses or a program at the same time that you're in high school, and both of those things contribute towards your high school graduation.
And if you're
Here's
in that air, if that's one of if you whoever's chimed in here and you're a candidate for that, your school district will actually pay for your tuition for that
yes.
do it that first year.
Yes. So it's possible. It's a great idea if your school district is willing to have you go through and do this program in their grade 12 year. The school district will pay for your tuition. Yeah.
Also, those of you I see, there's a number of you guys from Comox. If you are in grade 12 right now, they actually have pathway so that your school district will actually pay you after you've graduated for your first year of this course too. I don't know
Mm,
exactly how they do it, but I get a number of students, quite a lot of students from Courtenay and Comox area, and their first year is paid for by their respective school district.
mm. Okay, good to know. Some websites that you might be aware of. Education Planner BC is a great place to check out, do some research, and it's also where you would submit your application to any program, any for credit program at NIC, and most post-secondaries that are publicly funded in BC. But that does not include private institutions such as Spratshaw. They would have their own application process that's not on this website. The BC Transfer Guide is a great place to check out if the courses you've taken at another place, say you are in your 30s and maybe you took a few courses at BCIT and you're wondering if they transfer here. You can go to the BC Transfer Guide and find out if those courses will transfer to NIC. Skilled Trades BC, I mentioned that's who you register with if you do want to become an apprentice. And this is just a little plug for events that I organize. That is an excellent opportunity to come to campus and check out our programs and talk to staff and to find out what's going on at the college and what opportunities are available. These are the dates. Each event takes place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So the Campbell River event, it's free from 10 to 2 on March 12th. That's a Thursday. Comox Valley, again, 10 to 2 on Thursday, March 19th, and Port Alberni, Thursday, March 26th, again, 10 to 2. So please do. We give free tours, there's free giveaways, snacks available, and you get to check out the programs that might be taking place at that campus. Here are some more next steps. If you want to keep in touch with us, you can sign up for a campus tour through our website. If you want to check out what programs we have to offer, we have a great program finder tool on our website. It's at the top left of the menu. You can sign up to have updates by following us on our Instagram or Facebook, and you can sign up for our newsletter. And if you're ready to apply today, you can go to Education Planner BC or select the program through our website and click on Apply Now, and it will lead you through Education Planner BC. You submit your $25 application fee and select North Island College and this program. And now we're ready to take some of your questions. So I see that there's one in the chat here. I think this one might be for Cory. So it says, after completion, will I get employed as an instrumentation technician using my diploma?
We do not place students in the workforce. However, I do invite employers to my lab, particularly in the second year, because that's when you're going to finish up the program. And I just sent out 2 invites today, one to KJ Controls in Nanaimo and one for the Department of National Defense. They've expressed an interest in coming up and talk to my class about picking up some students for employment. But yeah, we don't place students, but I'm certainly here to help you navigate future job opportunities. So particularly being used as a reference, that works quite well. And but we come February, so next month we really start hitting the job trail. We start investigating job opportunities, start looking at the various websites. Right now, I think the last time I looked, there was something like 22,000 job openings for graduates of this program. So
Wow.
plenty of opportunity. Not a lot locally. Obviously, Ontario is a huge manufacturing hub. Oil and gas is primarily in Alberta, but we do have pharmaceuticals. We do have wood, hardwood, and softwood. And but yeah, I do whatever I can. The whole reason why you're in my program is to get a job, and certainly that is a big aspect of the second year. We start, like I said, start plugging away in February. We dedicate some time each week looking for potential placements for all the grads in the class.
Great. So just to summarize, we can't guarantee that you will get a job locally in this area, but there are plenty of job opportunities available. We also have a department at the college that does help students with, once they're students, with resume writing skills, interview skills, cover letters, and they have a whole job board with jobs that are posted that students can apply to. So employers contact the college and say, I have this great job opportunity, can I please post it? And they post it on our job postings, and only students are um, able to log in and look at those job postings. So that's an advantage as well. Um, mhm.
There's just about three questions popped up. I'm going to answer
Yeah,
them. David, I am unfamiliar with non-destructive level 2 technician. You are more than welcome to send me your resume, and I will do a cross reference with my prerequisites. Absolutely, do whatever I can there to finagle you in.
we
So yeah,
also have an advisor that is like our two advisors that share, Marilyn and Kim. They're our military advisors, and you can, once you've applied, you can meet with them to find out about transfer credit as well. Yeah, wait, before we get to that, so here's myself listed at the top and my two coworkers who are the other two recruiters. This is our phone number and our email address. That's the best way to reach us is at that email address. And if you want a tour, hopefully for a group, because it does take about an hour to do a tour. So you can either sign up through our website to get a tour, but if you're coming from out of town and there's a few of you and you specifically want a tour of Cory's shop, then please send us an email at this email address.
so I
You've
thought
got
I
a lot
heard.
of instrumentation sounds there.
I got
So the next question is, are there any grants targeting this particular area of study? I don't know about grants specifically because grants is free money that you don't need to pay back, but definitely there are scholarships and bursaries available to students in this program. Sometimes when the foundation receives um, money, so someone has decided in their will that they want to create a scholarship for an NIC student, sometimes they specify the area of study. Sometimes there's very specific criteria like that, and sometimes there's something more general. But yes, there is scholarships and bursaries that are available for this program. And um, it is eligible for student loans. So that's through the government student loan system through Student Aid BC is the website you would go to find out about that. And the next question is, can you give some examples of what the jobs actually entail? That's a big question.
Yeah, how long do I have here?
You've got
Okay,
like
I'll, get,
15 minutes to go
I'll,
to talk about
I'll
that
give you a
one.
rundown of my career. All right,
Okay.
I started out as an electrician, residential, commercial, and then I went industrial. So my first industrial uh, gig was in a mine, very heavy industry, lots of heavy work. Um,
And when you say
then
heavy, you mean physical work.
physical work, yes, and it's big pieces of equipment, and the contactors and stuff that you do electrically there are quite large. Other jobs where I worked, so I worked at Labatt Breweries, worked at the container port, and if you take the boat into Tawasin there, so there's a coal port there, the container port. Those kind of jobs, you're sitting around waiting
Where
for
the
things.
train comes out along the long, skinny train track, and then
Yes,
the ships meet it when you're
yes,
okay.
and the coal port there. A lot of people don't see the coal port there, but those jobs you sit around and wait until something breaks, and then you go and fix it. A lot of jobs basically that's it. You're a maintenance if that's what you're after. You're a maintenance worker. That's what your role is. You get paid for what you know, not what you do. So you're not lugging around a bunch of big tools. You're just carrying around a couple testers and a couple light instruments and some very small tools, so you can do some on-spot troubleshooting. And typically, it goes in your troubleshooting will be through a PLC. Then you got original equipment manufacturers, where you actually are part of the original equipment people and you are a subject matter expert and they can ship you all over the world and you commission that piece of equipment in various plants around the world. So if you're young and don't have a family, that pays extremely well. Um, what else do we do there? Yeah, lots of programming, lots of PLC stuff, lots of HMI stuff. Again, you get paid for what you know, not what you do. So sometimes you play a lot of cards, other times you're quite busy, right? So um, yeah, it's just too vast. There's just too many industries to list here, and if you have anything in mind in particular and you want to know about it, you feel free to send me an email and I will answer those questions if it's particular to an industry. But like I mentioned earlier, the last time I looked on Indeed and I typed in industrial automation, there was something like 22,000 jobs, and all those job postings certainly list what your standard day was going to look like for sure.
So the next question is very specific to one person's particular situation, the degree that they have, and if it would transfer. And I just want to, in general, let anyone know that neither of us are experts in transfer credit. That's a whole different department at the college. Student records department determines when they look at your transcripts, whether they're international or domestic, whether they're from out of province or within BC, high school or post-secondary, they're the ones that assess transcripts and find out. And then there's another application process called application for transfer credit, and they can determine what courses or programs can be transferred to NIC. So we just can't answer questions about very specific degrees from outside of the country because it really varies. It depends on if it's been translated into English. It just depends if you studied in English. It depends on if the degree had the same courses that are offered at NIC. So there's a lot of different factors. It is possible to determine, if you will get some transfer credit, but I just don't want to make any claims that might not be true without, I'm not the expert in transfer credit. So
My
do we have any more questions regarding the program? Maybe, so you said that the program runs 4 days a week. Is it currently Monday to Thursday, did you say?
Correct.
And what are the hours approximately? People often ask that.
8:30 to 3:30.
Okay.
But it's a very it's a day-to-day schedule. So I typically cover a topic. So I give you a lecture on a topic, there's an assignment on the topic, there's a lab on that topic. So when you finish those three components, you're free to go for the day. I do not jump ahead. It's very regimented. It's very if you need to miss a day, you'll be fully aware of what you will be missing. So, like I said, sometimes we can move ahead. Sometimes the class does get ahead and it buys us some time. Sometimes the class is a little bit behind. So we're going to put the pedal to the metal and try to catch up.
Pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal.
So another question, outside of class, how many hours per week estimate of homework? So we usually like to give an estimate in student services, but you probably have your own answer to that, Cory.
Well, I am a graduate of this program and I had zero homework.
What?
But if you work in class, there's no reason why you have to have homework.
Huh. But there's reading. There's
plenty of time to cover the material on a day-to-day basis. So
as long as you're showing up for class every day, paying attention, making notes,
correct,
learning what you're supposed to, then there shouldn't be much extra
so
homework.
That's the homework aspect. Studying for an exam, that falls on you. So if you have great study skills, then obviously you're going to spend less time on your personal time over the weekend. I typically try to schedule my exams for a Thursday. I generally don't like to have them on a Monday. I just find after 3 days off, people's minds, you need some coffee to get it going. So I typically, again, have my exams scheduled for Thursdays if I can. And when you're done that exam, you're free to go for the weekend. So,
Nice. And we do like to say for every hour that you spend in class, you should be spending that time doing reading or studying, but it sounds like it's slightly less for this if you stay on top of it and don't miss any class. I think sometimes there's an expectation of students to not attend class, but also feel like they haven't missed anything, and that's not the case. If you miss class, you miss content. So
yeah,
attending is the most important thing.
there's no going back, right? Like I don't,
Yeah.
there's no way because of the schedule and because of what we cover. We cover 24 courses, so if you miss a day or two, that's on you. You gotta cover that material. I'm here to help, but I'm going to be punching on with new material every single day.
So it's good to have a study buddy.
Correct.
And maybe utilize the library. They have a quiet study room, and they have other areas where you can just sit at a computer and there's a little bit of ambient noise in the background if you prefer that. And there's also breakout rooms that you can book to meet with your group, especially if they're on another campus or geographically somewhere else. You are able to use that as like a little mini conference room. And there's a large screen that you can interact with people with in your group and study together. So that's also a great resource. So the next question is, will the industry certifications be scheduled as part of the program, or do we need them before programs start? So which industry certifications, I'm wondering. As far as the admission requirements, I'll go back in the slideshow and bring those up again. There aren't any industry certifications that are part of the admission requirements.
No, you learn about the industries in my class.
Yeah. So here's the admission requirement. So it's a C in Foundations of Math 11 or Successful Math Assessment or equivalent. A C in English 12 or equivalent, which if you're from outside of Canada, it will be a successful English assessment. And on our website, it'll give examples of different types of assessments that do meet that requirement, as they're not all equal, as we know. And there are different organizations that offer different English assessments. So just making sure that you're taking the right one and that you do achieve that level of letter grade of C in English 12. And then Physics 12 is recommended. There's lots of physics in the program. And then high school graduation preferred, but of course, that's not the case if you're a dual credit student because you're still in high school. So the next question is the course, well, it's actually, so just to clarify, a course is one class. So say Instrumentation 122, I don't think that exists, but I'm just using it as an example. That's a first year instrumentation course. That is one class. The program is a series of classes that make up the certificate first year and the diploma of your second year. So that you have multiple classes within the program. So is the program characterized as more of a sitting in class learning content or rather doing practicals in the lab for instrumentation and electrical diploma?
Lots of sitting. In the second year, there's when we hit instrumentation, you're sitting in front of a process station. When I say sitting, I mean you're standing. And so that's level, temperature, pressure, flow, pH, chromatograph, that kind of stuff. So you're up and walking about. I have a widget machine project, so it's a 3 week project where you're scouring over a machine with your classmates. It's a very project orientated 3 weeks of the course that's coming up right now. But yeah, we you're obviously sitting for my lecture, you're sitting for my assignment. In first year, the labs are basically off of a breadboard, or you can simulate them on simulation software. Second year is when we get into the more job ready skills, and that's when you're going to be up and about a little bit more. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So this is just the first slide about what you'll learn, and then there's another slide about that just for reference for some of those questions. And yeah, I really appreciate all the questions and your attending, taking time out of your evening to join us and to learn more about this program. And another question, just to confirm, the maximum number of students accepted into the program is 16. Are there typically a lot more applicants than that?
Depends on the year.
Yeah.
Uh, we're kind of in crossroads here where we went from concurrent scheduling where we had first and second year together, and now we are sequential. So it kind of puts us in a bit of a bind some years, especially in the second year. If you don't take my first year, then obviously you're not eligible for my second year. So that leaves a 1 year gap if you're looking to let's say a specific year. So the next year I'll be running my second year will be 2007, 2008. So if you're looking to get into the first year of that program, then you're waiting till the end of or the fall of 2008 to get into it. So that's given us a little bit of less of a let's say a wait list, but we still do have typically more than 16 applicants. Yes.
Yes, we do usually receive more than 16 applicants, but 16 is
16 is the max.
the max class size. So just to reiterate that this program is only offered every 2 years, so this coming September will be the next intake, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Any more last minute questions? Okay, looks like there aren't any more for now, so thank you very much. If you have more questions that you think of later, you're welcome to send us a message after. I'll put my email address up here as well.